Yeah, Tati is locked in. What about y'all? Y'all locked in? Yeah. Yeah, let's go Heat. Say it. Yeah. All right, you're tired.
I don't even blame my kittens for getting tired because it's kind of boring at this point. I mean, the Heat just scoring at will night after night. There's not even any drama anymore. Well, the Knicks gave us a teeny bit of drama late in the game, but not really. This game was never in doubt. Hey, and I'll tell you what, boys, life sure is sweet right now, huh? Life sure is sweet over here, top of the league, leading the league in scoring, number one in pace. It's beautiful right now on this beautiful Sunday night. I don't even know where to start after this amazing game where the Heat kind of kicked the Knicks' ass, at least from the second half on. We could start with my boy Jaime Jaquez Jr. The man's looking incredible this season. Physically, of course, and on the court. That's my boy. I'm sorry. You know, I got the foot fetish for the footwork of Jaime Jaquez Jr. He has me hyped this year. People are saying he's back to his rookie self. I say, no! To pull the phrase of the great Michael Biamonte, this is my first Heat video since he announced his retirement, so I just wanted to shout out the GOAT. Of course, a big part of my childhood memories, growing up, going to Heat games, still going to Heat games. Michael Biamonte, the in-arena announcer, is retiring at the end of this year. So shout out to the GOAT. Just wanted to show him some love. But I say no to the people that saying Jaime's back at him rookie self because he's better than that. I mean, the way he's playing now, could be a borderline all-star, certainly a six-man of the year candidate. He's doing everything out there. Outside of him, you got the demigod, Nikola Jovic. Earlier on, Davion Mitchell, the dog, was in foul trouble. He comes out and you're bringing Drew Smith, who's another dog. This whole team is firing on all cylinders right now. They lose Tyler Hero due to injury, and they bring in Norman Powell, who, dare I say, might even be better. No shade at Tyler Hero. It's just saying Norman Powell's look phenomenal. I mean, the New York Knicks, they favor to be the second team in the East by far. Are they? They didn't look like the second or first best team in the East tonight. They were starting a dude at center who's named after a Disney princess with red hair. And you thought that guy was going to stop Bam Adebayo and Khalil Ware and Nikola Jovic? Once again, no. Hey, I'm going to tell y'all right now, go way to make some money. Shout out to FanDuel, the sponsor of today's video, where right now you can get the Miami Heat to win the Southeast Division at plus 1,000. Best believe I just threw some more money on that because the Magic right now, 1-2. I know they already beat us, and that could hurt, but 1-2. Their offense is looking a little fluky. The Atlanta Hawks are already on fraudulent watch. They're 1-2. Right now, the Heat lead that. The Heat lead the Southeast Division. If you can get them at plus 1,000, hey, maybe you want to throw a little bit of bread on that. But anyways, as you could tell, I'm excited. I was so close to pulling the belt out for back-to-back belt-to-ass videos. Of course, the Miami Dolphins today already got me hype, and I'm sort of riding that high. But I'm also happy to be home. We got the setup back. That means that I took a ton of notes. So let's get right into it, even though I'm 3 minutes into the video. I always say when YouTubers, they like talk 3 minutes of BS, and they're like, without further ado, let's get straight into it. I'm like, you didn't get straight into it. You BS for 3 minutes. Get to the damn video. I hope that's not how y'all feel about me, about this video. But anyways, we're going to the first quarter. Somehow, for some reason, the Heat were wearing their black jerseys at home. I always find that a bit weird, but hey, maybe stick with it now. You know, I don't tend to be a superstitious guy, but if it ain't broke, you know. There was a very good sequence early on in the first quarter with about 9 minutes to go where they were really showing the pace both offensively and defensively. Of course, we've talked a ton about the pace on offense, but I kind of want to highlight the defensive pace as well. I'd love to do a film breakdown of this game or a game at some point, maybe a film breakdown of Jaime. I'll see if I have some time for that. But basically what you saw is an incredible switching defensively from Davion and Norman Powell and Wiggins. I think those three were switching back and forth. So the Knicks were trying to move the ball. They were trying to find the mismatch, which they found some mismatches today. You know, sometimes we found Fontecchio on Brunson, and that kind of let Brunson get going. But for the most part, I think the Heat did a great job staying home with their great defenders on the Knicks' great players. So the Heat did a good job switching. The Davion Mitchell would get a stop. That would lead to a fast break because Bam Adebayo got the rebound. He took the ball coast to coast himself, threw a lob to Khalil Ware, who ran the floor very well. It ended up being a turnover. I think Anunoby intercepted it, but, you know, Knicks have good defenders too. Anunoby's very lanky. The point is the Heat got out in transition after getting a stop. But after the Heat turned it over, they sprinted right back on defense. And that's the kind of pace that you get back on defense. I think, again, it was Wiggins and Powell and Davion. All those guys were sprinting back. And then once the Heat got to stop that possession, Bam got the ball again, went coast to coast, and then instead of passing it this time, he did a strong, aggressive take, and he was able to draw the foul this time. So, again, it's just the fast-paced defense is part of what helps lead to the fast-paced offense. And right now, I really think the Heat have the personnel to continue playing that switching fast-paced defense. I mean, it's been beautiful watching Norman and Wiggins and Davion and Drew Smith out there, and even Khalil Ware, who's moving around well at points. I don't think Ware had his best performance today. But as far as the perimeter guys, you have perimeter defenders now, and it's just been really fun to watch those guys work. It's just kind of an interesting dynamic eventually when you get Tyler back. You know, I know earlier I said Norman might be better than Tyler. He's not. He's probably not, but it's a different dynamic. You just can't do the kind of switching defense that they've been doing when you bring Tyler back. I don't want to make this into a what happens with Tyler Hero video, but, you know, especially since, you know, I'm excited for when Tyler comes back, because I don't think the offense, you know, will get worse with him here. I think it can only get better. Tyler Hero is a phenomenal scorer, so I'm excited for him to get back. I just kind of hope it doesn't mess up what they're doing defensively, because I have been very impressed with that through 3 games so far, even though they've given up, you know, a lot of points and stuff too, but the switching I've been very impressed with. Bam, though, did have a bit of a rough night offensively. I didn't love his shot attempts today. You know, we'll go through the box score later, but early on, first shot of the game, took a deep floater from like 17 feet out. Why are you taking a floater from 17 feet away? Then he shot a very long mid-range, like 2 feet inside the three-point line. Then he took an out-of-rhythm three-pointer where he was open, and then he jab stepped, and then he ended up going up. It's like, that's not your game, Bam. I love the three-point attempts. He took a bunch of them today, but got to take the right ones in rhythm. He even had some today where he was sitting in the corner. He didn't hit those, but I want him to keep taking those at least. Those are in rhythm. I don't mind those shots, but I didn't love his shot selection overall, especially early on, because I was hoping he could have another strong game after his strong first quarter last game. And then there was a few times today where Bam couldn't take advantage of a mismatch. We've talked about that at length. He had the smaller Josh Hart on him, trying to post him up. He turns it over. He just has one of the worst post games I've ever seen. That part's a little bit frustrating, but good news is, even though he was struggling early on, Norman Powell was dominating from the jump, hit 2 threes early, then he hit a mid-range shots, missed the layup where he fell to the floor, and then there was a loose ball that was batted around. He got the ball back, had an and one layup, so he was really firing on all cylinders today, looking like a 3-level scorer, which I don't want that to be lost. You know, we keep hearing Powell's a three-point shooter. He's a 3-level scorer, and got to the free throw line also a bunch today, which we'll get into. I even had another layup that quarter, in the first quarter, where the shot clock was winding down. Usually in that spot, the Heat would have to force up a bad heave. Instead, Davion was able to make a move, get right to the rim. So it's just nice that you have a guy now, in addition to Tyler Hero, because Tyler was good at this too, who could catch a grenade late in the shot clock and kind of get a good shot out of it. The one where Powell dived on the floor and got the loose ball, it's because Ware couldn't secure an easy rebound. Just Ware was, like I mentioned earlier too, he had a bit of a rough one today. He bailed out Josh Hart with the clock ticking down on a pretty bad foul. He was getting blown by Towns. Whoa, pause. Hey, yo. Towns was blowing past him. Let me word it like that. I also don't think Ware did a great job boxing out today, because he's so used to going to the rim when a shot goes up. But the Knicks were shooting so many threes today, it was leading to so many long rebounds, that instead of Ware boxing out, finding his man, he was going to the rim. I just want to see him put more of an emphasis on putting a body on someone when a shot goes up. Him and Jovic actually had some rough first quarters. Jovic had 2 air balls early on, and then from 3. And then Davion Mitchell had 2 fouls early. It's very nice to see Drew Smith check in, though, you know, so you don't feel like you lost anything defensively there. So even after some rough first quarters for most of your guys, Norman Powell really kept things afloat, and the Heat were only down 3 after the first quarter. Going into the second quarter, Jovic started playing much better. Started it with a beautiful drive, a hard drive baseline after there was like a hard closeout on him, and then he found Drew Smith, who knocked down a 3-pointer, and then Bam hit a 3 in the corner right after that. That put the Heat up 4, so the Heat were finally able to build some momentum. The thing I love about the Jovic pass, though, is we talked a lot about how he's not that great a facilitator in the half court. He's much better in transition. But because guys are starting to respect his three-pointer a lot, they're closing out hard on him, which is allowing him to drive, get these paint touches, and hit those driving kick shots to get some shooters open. So I really think that's how Jovic is going to be able to be effective facilitator in the half court, is by getting these driving kick opportunities as guys continue to, respect his three-point shots a little bit more. Even Fontecchio really played well all game. I mean, Simone Fontecchio, I got to talk about him for a second, because last video, I was tired. I was on vacation. I was stayed up till 3 a.m. the night before at Halloween Horror Nights. I accidentally called Fontecchio the Canadian Klay Thompson and Canadian Ray Allen. I meant Italian. I very clearly meant Italian. So I just want to clarify that, because I need to put some respect on his name. He is awesome. He's more like the Italian Steph Curry, the Italian, Duncan Robinson, whatever you want to call him. He is a lethal sniper. People are looking for a nickname for him. I say he's like the 6'7" Ant Donardo. Couple of Italian shooters. I like that for my boy Simone. He also got to the rim a few times, used his body on that play in the second quarter just to bump into guys. I was able to get the layup to go pretty nicely there too. Davion Mitchell would check back in the second quarter, immediately commit a foul. It was a blocking foul, which I think was BS, because he did the same thing that Jalen Suggs did in the first game this year, where they called a charge on Norman Powell. Jalen Suggs did not take that charge square in the chest. Same thing with Davion Mitchell. Davion Mitchell took it on his shoulder. It is a blocking foul. My point is, if you're going to call that, call it consistently. Because the same thing they said was a blocking foul on Davion, they said was a charge when Jalen Suggs took the same thing. So that was a little concerning, because Davion drew his third foul right away. But then the Heat had Pelle Larsson to check in. So nice excuse for Pelle to get some run after really not playing last game. And then Pelle, once he came in, he immediately drew an offensive foul himself. So it was nice to see the little bit of energy that he brought in. Jaime Jaquez really got going in this quarter. He was a transition monster. As soon as John Crotty said the Heat need to pick up the pace a little bit, Jaime got a rebound, did an outlet to Wiggins, who finished a nice layup, and then Jaime was really just going coast to coast multiple times throughout today, finishing a couple nice fast breaks and transitions. So the Heat's transition offense this year is looking better than previous years, which is not saying much because it was terrible, but a lot of the reason is because of Jaime Jaquez. And then very nice sequence to end the half. Bam forced an offensive foul on Towns because Bam was hounding him defensively. And then at the other end, Bam was attacking him. He drew another foul on Towns, so gave him back-to-back fouls to end the end of first half. And it's nice to see the Heat take advantage of guys on the other end who aren't great defenders. For years, we watched the Heat, guys get picked on. Tyler, Duncan, we saw them get picked on. I wish the Heat would pick on some of these other, poor defenders more often. Wish I would have seen it more on Towns today. I feel like Bam bailed him out a lot by shooting jump shots. But on this specific play, he drew the foul, hit a couple free throws, and the Heat were up 57-54 at the half. The biggest concern, though, was the Knicks' offensive rebounds. They had 10 in the first half. Most of them was off missed threes. So, again, it's not so much of a size issue, because when you have these threes, it's like long rebounds, so it's kind of going out towards the perimeter anyways. But the Heat just needed to do a better job boxing out. I want to check how many they finished on the night with. They finished with 16 offensive rebounds. Yeah, that's just way too many. I mean, I'll look at shot attempts too. The Heat had 83 shot attempts to the Knicks 98. The Knicks had 15 more shot attempts than the Heat and still lost by 8. Imagine if the Heat didn't give up 4 or 5 of those offensive rebounds, or didn't have, they had 16 turnovers. Imagine they had 3 or 4 less turnovers, So it is a positive sign that the Heat were pretty poor in terms of defensive rebounding and turnovers, and you still had a relatively comfortable win late. Going into the third quarter, Norman Powell really kept things afloat as Jalen Brunson started cooking himself. Powell got to the free throw line like 4 times in the third quarter, which was huge because Jalen Brunson was absolutely cooking. He hit a transition 3 over Ware, and then Ware actually hit a 3 himself to come right back down the court. So a huge ball shot from Ware to tie things back up after Brunson got going. And then there was a funny sequence. Anunoby missed a 3. Ware got a rebound, was lackadaisical with it. He turned it over. The Heat lucked out as Brunson missed an open 3. And then the Heat come down the court in transition, and Wiggins hits a 3, but it's wiped away because Eric Spoelstra called timeout. I will say, not Spoelstra's worst timeout call ever. I could think of one specifically that was worse. But Both teams were kind of going back and forth there. There was some terrible officiating in the midst of that. Hart bulldozed Davion Mitchell. They called no call on Hart, but they called out of bounds on Mitchell. And then they called a flagrant on Norman Powell because he landed under Bridges when Bridges jumped like 5 feet forward. Like, the whole point of that flagrant call in that closeout spot is if guys have a reckless closeout. You could see if, like Zaza Pachulia did on Kawhi, you could see Norman Powell go for the three and then stop on a break so he didn't land under Bridges. And Bridges jumped so far forward. Of course, he landed on he landed on Powell. So that just was, I think, bad officiating there too. But it all worked out because Powell would get it back. He was fouled on a three himself just a couple minutes later. Then Brunson randomly went to the locker room with 4 minutes to go. I didn't hear what that was about, but he would end up returning. And then fortunately to end the third quarter, though, there was a great series by the young guys. Jaime had a beautiful driving kick. Again, another paint touch. Was able to kick it out to Jovic, who hit a nice three. And then Jovic had an excellent double team on the Knicks ball handler. He forced the turnover. And then Jaime had a tough fadeaway, trying to go 2 for 1 to end the third. He hit that shot. And then Jovic nearly hit a full court shot. It drew front iron after that. So if he would have hit that, I would have went nuts. But really nice sequence from the Heat, young guys to end the quarter. The Heat in the past years ended quarters very bad. And like, to win basketball games, I feel like if you just play the last 2 minutes of every quarter very well, you could win, more games than not. So if they could keep doing that like they have been this year, the Heat will be just fine. Going into the fourth quarter, Fontecchio got going a little bit more. He hit a three to give the Heat a double-digit lead. Brunson would check in with about 9 minutes to go. He clamped Bam in the post. Once again, Bam had a smaller guy in the post. Brunson rips him. Oh, it's just so frustrating as a guy who in my game, I love to play in the post. I post up bigger guys. I post up smaller guys. It's just about footwork and touch. And 8 years into the league, 9 years into the league, whatever. Bam can't get no post game? Come on now, Bam. He turned it over when Brunson was on him. And then Jovic, dude, really got going. Bam would tap an offensive rebound to Jovic, who had a nice drive and kick, or drive and dump off, I guess, to Jaime, who was sliding back door. Beautiful backdoor cut from Jaime. Great pass from Jovic, and Jaime would slam it. And then Jovic had an and one off a tough running hook. Then Fontecchio had a wild scoop running layup in transition. So the Heat were getting a lot of relief buckets to not let the Knicks come back in it. They would go up as much as 18 before the Knicks really got going. Deep three from Towns. Brunson lane transition. Tough Brunson fading three in the corner right over Davion Mitchell. Made it a 10-point game with 4 to go. And then Davion got going for the Heat a little bit after a rough start to the game. He hit a three to himself to stop the bleeding. But then Brunson came right back down the court and hit a three himself. Listen, Brunson balled today. But I want to give Davion and Drew credit. Those guys did their thing. It's just, sometimes superstars are going to score. But I do think Davion and Drew did make it very tough on him today. But then after Davion's three, and then it was Brunson that matched, the lead would get under 10 after a Josh Hart fast break. So yeah, the Knicks actually did get it under 10, but then Mitchell had a beautiful pass to Bam. It looked like Mitchell was trapped baseline, about to turn it over, wraps it around the Knicks defenders. He finds Bam, and then next possession, Davion actually had a beautiful lob to Wiggins, but Wiggins missed the layup. So very nice plays from Davion there, though. He is a game changer. Like, when he's playing like that and the energy he brings and just the defense, he's an absolute game changer. And I don't want that to be lost because, when you watch the Heat, you talk about Bam, you talk about Norman, you talk about Jovic, you talk about where Davion Mitchell has been sensational this season. Towns would hit another three, though, to cut it to 7 with under 2 minutes to go. Things got a little bit dicey. I actually think it got down to 5 after that. Yeah, because Bam nearly turned it over, dove on the loose ball, which I want to give him credit for. Bam, he makes a lot of money. Not a lot of stars would dive on the floor even after getting paid. We constantly seen Bam do that. So he would dive on the loose ball. The Heat would call timeout. But then Bam would turn it over after the timeout as he was trying to attack Towns. And that's when Brunson hit a layup to cut the lead to 5. And then Andrew Wiggins, another guy who's been kind of slept on for the Heat this year, just hit a monster 3 to bring it back up to 8. And then Davion Mitchell was hounding Brunson. Towns tried to set a screen to get Davion off him. Davion fought through the screen. They called it a moving screen on Towns because, he threw his hip out. Next possession, Andrew Wiggins drew another offensive foul, trying to fight over a Josh Hart screen. So you're seeing the defense really kick in late in these games. And that's, that I think is this Heat's identity still. The highest scoring team in the league, but I think the best part of them has been their defense this year. It really has been. I love the personnel they have out there defensively. And then after another Heat stop, you would get a Jovic lob to Bam to dunk the ball, dagger to put the Heat up 10, and the whole crowd went nuts. So we'll go through the box score real quick here. Wiggins with 9 points. Bam Adebayo, 19 and 13 for him. 6 turnovers to 3 assists. That's very bad. Yeah. 19 and 13 looks decent for Bam. You got to clean up some of that stuff because the efficiency was not good either. 5 of 15 from Bam, which is 33%. 1 of 5 from 3 and 6 turnovers. Not Bam's best performance. I'm not trying to hate in the win, but you got to clean that stuff up. Tonight, some other guys hit enough shots that the Heat were able to recover. Khalil Ware today, 5 points, 8 rebounds. Norman Powell, 29 points, 7 boards, 3 assists, 3 steals, 7 of 15 from the field, 3 of 16 from 3, 12 of 12 from the free throw line. Should mention Bam was 8 of 8 from the free throw line. That I do like from Bam. But for Norman, 12 of 12 from the line. You love his ability to get to the rim and draw free throws, something that we have been wishing Tyler has been able to do for quite a while. Fact of the matter is, he's just not great at getting to the rim and drawing contact. And I'm not saying that's Norman Powell's game, but he can do it better than Tyler. I don't know if Tyler's ever had 12 free throw attempts in a game. Maybe at some point. I don't know, but love that from Norman Powell. And then Davion Mitchell, 9 points, 6 assists, 2, 1 turnover. Every game, we going to look at the assist-to-turnover ratio for him and Drew Smith. Drew Smith today, 6 points. No assists, though, but also 1 turnover. So between those two guys, 6 assists to 2 turnovers. Once again, that is an assist-to-turnover ratio of 3-1. They had the same thing last game. You had that today, and that is a beautiful ratio to have. And then off the bench, you have Fontecchio, 14 points. Jovic with 6 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. Continue to fill up the stat sheet. And then last but not least, our guy Jaime Jaquez does it all once again. 17 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists. 8 of 12 from the field, 0 of 2 from 3. It's interesting about Jaime because I really thought he'd have to develop his three-pointer to kind of get back to the driving stuff so people would close out at him harder. But he hasn't really, I don't even know if he's made a 3 this year. I don't think he has. But he's still getting to the rim at will. And they're not guarding his 3. They're sagging off him. But he just has a knack for getting to the rim. So maybe last year was mostly due to injuries. He was sick a bunch, had the groin injury. So maybe it is as simple as injuries. I don't know. But Jaime Jaquez he's a game changer when he's playing like that. He is a game changer. On the Knicks side of things, Brunson with 37, 5, and 7. My God, that guy's awesome. And then Bridges with 20 points, Towns with 15 and 18, Anunoby with 14 and 6. So for the most part, the Heat pretty much kept the rest of the bench in check. Yeah, it's pretty much the Knicks starters that were kind of cooking there. So fun game overall. Looks like the Heat's next game is against the Charlotte Hornets. So win the game you're supposed to win, Miami Heat, and we won't have no beef. All right, I'll leave it at that. Anyways, fun day for Miami sports fans as things start to seem to be back in action. Got a big Hurricanes win over the weekend. Inter Miami won their playoff game. Who the hell thought the Miami Dolphins were going to dominate the way they did today? And they do play again on Thursday night, where right now on FanDuel, if you wanted to take the Dolphins money line, maybe you're feeling optimistic after the big win today, you can get them at plus 275, which is some very juicy odds. Of course, I do expect Lamar Jackson to return, but maybe he'll be a bit rusty. And for plus 275, again, it's good odds. I like throwing a few bucks on stuff that has good odds. But anyways, that's all I got to say for this video. Make sure y'all leave your thoughts down below. What stood out to you the most about this Heat game? I'm very excited to hear what y'all think. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe because your support is greatly appreciated. We're on the grind to hit 10K subs. Let's do it by the end of the season. Is that doable? Maybe. I can do it with y'all help. All right, see y'all on the next one. Peace out, everyone.
Look, pull up in your city, tryna get that dead face. Do it on my own, I don't need no dead weight. Had to kill him off, yeah, I need a head space. You know this homegrown bitch, don't offend me.